Hello everybody and welcome. Grand Final decider, Game 5 for the first time since
2018.
There you go. When Adelaide and Melbourne went at it, wherever you might be, there is no doubt, just like us here at NBL Overtime, you are very damn excited. 40 minutes, championship to be hoisted on the back of it. Liam, Santamaria in the house. I'll get to you in a moment. Homicide, you ready?
Doing my notes. I had a lot to talk about on Instagram, but
Yeah,
I'm here in the flesh, baby.
Good, that's what we like. Hello to you, Liam, Santamaria. Hey, that's frequent flyer points, man.
Racking them up, and we're going the distance.
We're going the distance. The maximum games. Mate, big shout out to the broadcasters who are no doubt very excited about it. And big shout out to Larry Kesselman, who I believe was the happiest man leaving Spark Arena on Sunday, even more than the Delirious Breaker fans. But before we break it all down, let's give a shout out to those fans. NBL record in Sydney on Friday night and a New Zealand NBL record. Never seen that attendance in New Zealand on Sunday. You, the fans, the real MVP. That was cool to see, wasn't it?
Really cool. Just record-breaking stuff here and there. I told you about 3 months ago that the Kings were going to beat the all-time record at some stage during the postseason, and they turned up in a massive way. Over 18,000. Just looking at that arena and seeing that whole top section full, 360 degrees, Corey knows it was an amazing atmosphere. And then the numbers were still historic. They weren't quite 18,000, but you want to talk about atmosphere. What they had happening at Spark Arena was even more crazy.
Well, let's get into it because we went to a Game 4 and for the first time this series, a team could actually win the championship and the trophy was smack bang in the middle of the court. And it was a ripping contest, Homicide. It was great early, really by New Zealand. They were able to handle the moment early on. They were very aggressive. The crowd, as you can see there, and Will McDowell-White we'll get to a little bit later on. But New Zealand were great, in particular early in that first half.
I mean, it was a must-win. They came out and balled out. Great performance at both ends. They locked up on defense. They were aggressive, and they were aggressive on offense. Their key players that needed to step up big did exactly that. You know, we know Barry Brown Jr. came to work. Jarrell Brantley outplayed that matchup against Cooks. Will McDowell-White set the tone, and it almost felt like every basket he made, every decision he made
Here we go.
key. And this play right here is the play of the series, play of the game. Barry Brown Jr. is in his bag. Let's not forget, this man is playing with a broken hand.
Hey, that
His
three.
hand is broken. He has a cast pretty much on his hand. If it's not a legit cast, the way it's taped and wrapped up, it is a cast.
It's a legit guess. I will tell you this. As great as that dunk was, the play of the series was that triple. That triple over Xavier Cooks we just seen there. The dunk was incredible, but that triple, Xavier Cooks couldn't have played any better defense.
It was an unbelievable shot. The way he made the adjustment and just put it up even higher to get it over that outstretched hand. He's a closer. He's a big moment performer. And so, you know, he's built for those kind of situations. I disagree with you, though.
Okay.
The breakaway dunk was the play of the season for me. Now, was there a better dunk? Yes, Xavier Cooks over Isaac Humphries. Was there a bigger shot? Yes, that hit over Xavier Cooks and, you know, the game winners that we've seen over the course of the season. But for that fan base, who have been so tortured over the last couple of seasons, to have that moment where where Justin jumps with him and he throws it down, they're up 10, Buford calls for time, they know they're going to a Game 5. For me, and maybe recency bias is in play, for me that's been the play of the season thus far.
Look, I called it the play of the series. Same company. You know what I mean? The point is the impact that it had. He's right. The impact that he had was huge. And I think it's those type of plays that can propel a team to really believing and get a team over the edge and hurt a team. Because the best defender on that team are two people, right? Xavier Cooks is playing on one leg. He's injured, right? We'll get to that later, right? Justin Simon, fantastic job, fantastic. But the tough defense that he played, all you got to do with a guy like that is do what? Set solid screens. That's what they began doing, hard screens on him. So was his defense like Game 2 or like Game 3? No. They've been setting hella screens. And what does that do? It frees up the ball handler to get him comfortable and make the plays that he was making. Will McDowell, this is a game of confidence. He was wearing him like a cheap suit in game 2 and game 3. He got freed up in game 4, and what was he able to do? 19, 6, and 5. Then he's hitting. Let's talk about those dagger back-to-back threes.
Well,
listen.
Hey,
let's have a look at him.
let's have a look at him because
Bam!
We've talked about the floaters, the drops coverage. Will McDowell White's now seeing some of this unders for guys that are not Justin Simon. Bang, hits the first one. Now they're up 5 early in the fourth quarter. Now look at the unders here again from Sean Bruce. He sees the pick, says, hey, listen, I'm slipping under. If Will McDowell White is hitting that shot.
Game over. Game over. Listen, New Zealand in game 2 got smacked, but they could not react in favor to them in that game. You know why? Outside of them getting smacked, they couldn't figure out the zone. They couldn't figure out that zone. And that tough defense. What did they do in game 4? They figured out the zone. And they handled the on-ball pressure on Will McDowell White. So how are you going to beat this team? Your best player, your Draymond Green, is on one leg. And that leg, injured, is also on a flight. What does he do right now? What do you do? Where my camera at? What do you do? Forget Xavier Cooks. If you're Xavier Cooks, what do you do in this situation? Pressure. Pressure's now on that team, Sydney Kings. Here's another guy. There has to be, I'm going to look in the camera again. Shannon Sharp. There has to be a personal beef that I don't, look, I'm new here. I mentioned on Instagram. The way Zaya Leafa is playing defense on Dejan Vasiljevic Sunday, there's a personal beef. Maybe they were juniors, trash talking. Something happened. The way he's wearing him like a cheap suit. It's like, you ain't better than me.
Well,
and I'm going to show it. I've never seen Zaya Leafa play defense like that.
He's never been in a grand final series either.
Never seen him play defense like that my whole time in Southeast Melbourne.
Yeah.
I have never seen him play defense like
Title's
this.
on the line. Title's on the line.
Oh
Got a
my
job to do.
God.
I don't buy
hey,
the.
listen, don't
there
forget.
may be a beef. I don't buy the beef thing.
There's something.
But
But hey,
grand final series.
You were watching game 3, right? He lost him. He came off him.
And he
Time
got
and
busy.
time again. And we're sitting there like, hold on, you're guarding Dejan Vasiljevic. I asked Dejan Vasiljevic in the corridors after the game, did they forget who they were guarding? He said, I don't know, you tell me.
Yo, listen. Look, Dejan Vasiljevic, dope. I rock with him. He's dope. But he got to show up game 5. Here's why I say the victory favors the healthy, right? I said this a week ago. The series turned into a 3-game series after 1-1. Now it's 1-1 again.
Yeah.
It does not favor the Kings the longer this thing goes because their best player is injured. What did Jarrell Brantley do to him? I don't care about regular season. Once you on the court, you ready to go.
Yeah.
New Zealand realizes that, and what did they do? Attack him. Right now, Xavier Cooks is a liability at both ends. He ain't giving you nothing on defense, and he ain't giving you nothing on offense.
Liabilities are
Yo,
big.
listen,
Yeah,
I'm telling you.
that's-
Did you see? Yo, listen, have you ever seen Brantley go? You know what that
Yeah.
means? There's nobody in front of me that could stop me. That's
Wow.
what we see.
No, it's the
Xavier
guy who's in
Cooks.
front of me is the MVP of the league and he's on 2 fouls. I'm going at it.
How many points did Xavier Cooks score in last game? 10. I don't count free throws. He scored 3 buckets in 24 minutes. He had 10 points.
Okay.
He scored 4 free throws.
that count?
I'm talking about in a matchup. Did you score me?
Brantley outplayed him.
No, he didn't. He hit 4 free throws is my point. My point is that, so when we talk to matchups mentally, dogs, you hit free throws, that don't count in one-on-one battle. Your leg is done. That leg is on a flight. I got your number. You can roll the film. I'm watching it home, and I'm like, this is not the defense Xavier Cooks is playing, really plays.
Let me throw, I hear you. Let me throw another guy into the mix here. Because Derek Walton Jr. was sensational. in
Killed.
Game 3.
Killed.
Now, he's sore too. He's not
is.
100%. But he is every chance in this game 5 to come out and do that again.
Yep.
And when he gets in that mode,
Right.
and he's scoring, you can't stay in front of him.
Tough.
Straight line drives.
Tough.
And then Glover gets open looks. And
Shout
Kawhi
out
Noy.
to Glover.
Do you know what I mean?
Is he a free agent?
Yes, sir.
Listen, Angus Glover, put the camera on. Glasses off.
Oh my God.
Angus Glover, listen to me. I remember I'm meeting you when you were in the Olsen Hotel when I was living there. We was on the elevator together. And I said to you, man, I rate you. I respect you. Good luck. How you go about it, I truly respect that. And my sentiments stand till this day. What you are doing is inspirational. This young man was injured, and his career was almost a wash. He pretty much remolded himself, and turned into from just an athletic guy playing defense and going to the rack.
Yeah.
Now he's hitting big threes. Big threes. So I just wanted to send my love and respect to you.
Yeah.
Keep doing what you're doing, and I hope the Kings keep you for what you are bringing to that organization.
Angus Glover's had 3 knee reconstructions.
3!
They used a piece of one of his hamstrings the first time. They used a piece of his other hamstring the second time. They ran out of hamstrings. He's got a piece of his dad's hamstring in there.
Oh, my goodness.
And he's out there, he's averaging 10 points a game here in this grand final.
How do we not have a story on that man right there? You understand what I'm saying?
amazing.
That's the story.
He's doing a tremendous job.
You know what you have kind of forgotten, right? Is how good defensively the second half by the Sydney Kings was last Friday night. They
Yeah,
were
I'm gonna tell you
incredible.
right
Locked them up.
Unbelievable. It was actually really rough at different times. Here we are. There's the score. Halfway through the third. This whole thing is on a knife's edge, and New Zealand awkwardly just could not get a thing done.
100%.
And
Great
Sydney,
defense, game 3.
over a quarter of the game,
half.
didn't hit a field goal for nearly 12 on minutes.
Well, they hit some free throws. Did they?
Well, apparently they don't count, so they didn't score.
No,
for
I said
12
in
minutes.
matchups.
Yeah,
All right,
okay,
in
fair
matchups.
enough. But defensively, they were incredible, and this is why I still have. There's 2 reasons why I have Sydney Kings winning Game 5. The home court advantage, while it isn't as big, I don't think, as it was, say, 5 years ago in world sport. The very fact is there's going to be 18,000 people in there, and New Zealand have to be able to handle this pressure at some point. They couldn't do it on Friday night. On Sunday, of course, they handled it a lot better, in particular early. And I get it. I get Xavier Cooks is hampered. He's got 40 minutes. He's the best player in the league over the regular season.
the MVP.
He's the MVP. And
Bryce Cotton's the best player in the league.
Okay, well, I'll grant you that, but Bryce Cotton ain't in the series. So I would say I still have Sydney in front of their home crowd being able to handle the pressure. And I mentioned Game 5 in Adelaide and Melbourne United in 2018. Eerily similar these last few games. Game 3 was a little bit tight. Melbourne stepped up. Game 4, Adelaide blew them out of the water in Adelaide, and Melbourne almost stole it late. And Daniel Johnson hit a massive shot to send it in Game 5. And then they got to Game 5, and the best player on the court stood up and delivered. And that was Chris Golding then. And I believe it'll be Xavier Cooks on Wednesday night.
I believe that's Barry Brown Jr. right now.
Well, we're about to find
I'm
out.
going to tell you right now. You right. Whenever you're ready to talk about him, you tag me and you let me know, right?
Let's go. I'm tagging.
Well, hang on. Hold up. Let's go to a break because I want to talk about the MVP.
We're going
of
to pick this up.
series.
We're going to pick this
We
up
are gonna
because
pick this up.
role players ain't going to win.
Well, hang on. Wait.
Role players ain't going to win a Game 5.
Well, Xavier Cooks isn't a role
All right?
player.
Xavier Cook, I told you he on one leg and the
Okay.
other leg is on the flight.
Let's see.
So,
Hold it.
We're going to get back to this.
Hashtag NBL Overtime. We are going to get back to it on the other side of this. Matt, I get you. Can you just wait now? 3 minutes of an ad break and we just keep bluing the whole time. Keep that same energy, fam, was said 11 times in a 3-minute ad break. Take it.
Here's what I'm saying.
Hit me.
Game 5. That's when your stars need to step up.
Absolutely.
Right? Your big money players, your big name players. With this team hampered with injury, this team meaning the Kings, this is, I get players that are first through third quarter players. Fourth quarter players are when your big time players need to step up, and you're relying too much on your bench and role players to fill that position right now for you. I will take my chances with a team full of studs, with their starters healthy and hungry and playing confident as ever. They have won on your floor before. They are going into that building to raise that trophy Wednesday. They meaning the Breakers.
So you got Barry Brown Jr. being that man, fourth quarter MVP. If they win the championship, Barry Brown Jr. is your MVP, and he's the guy that has to rip it apart in the fourth.
I mean, think about this. I didn't do it a lot in the regular season, but I think he flew under the radar. You know, a lot of times when you are a first-time player in the league, no one is really going to just jump on the train immediately, you know. But this guy was coming off the bench doing some awesome things all year, consistent. 20 points a game off the bench. That I don't think we've ever saw that in this league. Well, it's not since I've been here. 20 points per game off the bench and been sitting in second place the majority of the season. And I was like, yo, this dude should be in consideration for MVP of the league. And what he's doing right now is exactly what he was doing in the regular season. I mean, he closed out a game with how much he had against the Jack Jumpers. 32 for him, with the broken hand.
Yep. And they were bad. They were bad before he got inserted into the game.
Yo, dog's like, yo, when it all fails, right? If we can't do nothing else, give the ball to this guy right here, Barry Brown Jr.
I hear you. Three things have happened each of the times the Breakers have won. One, Will McDowell-White's been very good.
Yep.
Jarrell Brantley has outplayed Xavier Cooks.
Yep.
And Barry Brown Jr. has been big in the clutch.
That's that trio.
Game one, don't forget, it was Brown Jr. in the fourth quarter.
Yep.
13 fourth quarter points. And that's the big shot over Cooks, the mid-range, the breakaway. Now, all of that is exciting because that has got us to a game 5, but the Kings are still the champs. And they never die when you think that they will. They didn't in game 2 when Walton Jr. and Xavier Cooks couldn't go. Why? Because of that depth, because of those role players. You're talking about how it's the reason they're not going to win because you can't rely on them in a game 5. Actually, it's their secret sauce. It's the reason why they've been the best team in the league all season long. Now, what does that look like in a game 5?
That's my point. It's a different ball game.
It is about you, and it's why.
There ain't no more tomorrow.
And it's why I think the Breakers will win.
Every shot counts. Every possession counts.
McDowell-White,
But get tight.
Brantley.
If I miss this shot, will it be because now we lost the game because I missed this shot? That different type of nerves.
But
different type of situation.
All they need, though, is for all of them to be good and Walton Jr. to be great. If that happens, Sydney win. And there's every chance that could happen on Wednesday.
That ain't happening Wednesday.
So I agree with everything you're saying. And in any sport...
I got you. Shout out to the D. But not Wednesday, not tomorrow. It ain't happening.
In any sport around the world, and basketball in this particular case, to win a championship, to win a title, whatever it might be, you have to have your stars play well. We spoke about this prior to the series. Your superstars decide who wins the championship, and there is no doubt Xavier Cooks is a little hampered. There is no doubt. I'm still going to back him in for Game 5. But as we have said all year, well, I'll say I've said all year, Derek Walton Jr. has been in cruise control. And every single time he's needed to stand up and be the best player on the court in certain situations, he has been able to do that. And I think if Xavier Cooks can't quite get to that level we have seen in the last couple of years, in particular since he dominated a grand final series last year, it'll be Derek Walton Jr. in the fourth quarter. And you're right about the role players, and the fact is that very rarely do you see guys coming off the bench and standing up and ripping apart a big fourth quarter.
Win the series for us now.
They don't have to. Because they just have to, like they have all year in the secret sauce you meant, they just have to play their role. And Walton Jr. and Cooks will go head-to-head with the two men from New Zealand, and I think Kings in front of 18,000 will get it done. And I think we are going to see 5 minutes to go in a fourth quarter, and we are going to have no bloody idea who's going to win this.
Yeah, I think it's going to be the Breakers when push comes to shove. If it is the Kings, Justin Simon will be the grand final MVP.
So
because
explain?
Will McDowell-White, for me, is the key to the series. And Simon has locked him up twice, and they've won those games. So if he does it again, he'll be the guy.
Can you just explain? So the grand final, I was unaware of this. The grand final MVP is a voting on each.
It's a 3-2-1 voting type situation.
They need to change that.
So, which is why I think if the Breakers win, Will McDowell-White will be the Larry Sangstop medalist because he will have polled very well in Game 3. He will have polled, Game 1 and Game 4. And then he's going to need to be big again if they win.
Now, this is not how it's going to work out, right?
Shout out to Tom Abercrombie with them 6 steals.
The legend. He was huge on Sunday.
6 steals. Shout out to him. Tom Abercrombie is one of the oldest players in the NBL right now, correct?
Yes. Yep.
For him to come up with 6 steals in a decisive Game 4.
And got to also, with Tom Abercrombie as well, there's a yes or no question about him, which we'll get to, so I don't want to go too early, but has had a really sucky last couple of years. Not just the
Yeah.
fact that they've been away and the family,
Injury.
which is way more important than playing basketball, but he had injuries.
Yeah.
And you get to this age and you have these injuries that keep reoccurring and you think, oh, where do you go
He
from
wasn't
here?
having a great series.
No, he wasn't. He was great on Sunday.
really was.
I think there's no clear-cut finals MVP right now for the reasons you both point out. There's been good and bad games. Whoever dominates Game 5, in my mind, legitimately deserves to be the grand final MVP. Now, doesn't necessarily mean it'll happen, because if it is Xavier Cooks or Derek Walton Jr., neither will win it because of the way that the actual voting is constructed, since Walton Jr. wouldn't have got any votes in Game 1 or 2. But whoever dominates tomorrow night or Wednesday night will be the grand final MVP in my mind.
Now, let's talk a little bit about this whole business about the officiating.
Let's do it. Have a listen to this, because it's really ramped up on the last Game 3 and Game 4. Check this out.
And without the free throws, I think we would have really shut them down tonight, but they were getting a lot.
What did you notice from the breakers that changed from Game 3?
They were allowed to get away with the stuff they weren't allowed to in the first two games.
Chase, is physicality not part of basketball though? Or do you think the breakers take it over here?
I'm good. Thanks, man.
And I sat here after 3 games in the series and I didn't say one peep about the referees, because they are doing the best that they can. And all the other noise, man, belongs somewhere else. So don't ask me about this.
Interesting. I'll start with you, Liam. Gamesmanship. Matt Walsh then went to social media as well. I actually thought he spoke fairly well. This has been happening in all levels of basketball and probably all levels of sport forever. If you go back to the Cairns Sydney Kings series, the exact same thing happened. Chase Buford said, hang on a second, what's going on here? And the best team won that series. So I'm not suggesting that anything else, but this is what happens in all walks of basketball around the world.
Yeah, and look, that vision was a little misrepresentative, because the Breakers have been doing some of this as well.
Absolutely.
You mentioned Matt Walsh. He was calling foul after game 3, and then, you know, one team loses, they complain about the refs. The other team loses, they complain about the refs. It's ugly. I prefer it didn't happen, but it does happen. And part of the reason why is because it's a clash of styles. The Kings want freedom of movement and a high-paced game and lots of free throw attempts. And the Breakers want a more of a European style. They want to bump and grind and slow it down. So, of course, we've spoken before the series, who controls the tempo, who gets the better of that is going to have the advantage. So, of course, there's going to be some conversation. But when push comes to shove, the players are going to decide this thing on Wednesday night.
New Zealand for the win. I don't care about that ref talk. New Zealand for the win.
Keeping in mind, Simon Mitchell, former
Straight up.
Southeast Melbourne Phoenix head coach, broke it really well down on Twitter, I thought, or on social media, because they did live last Friday night. New Zealand sat on the 3-point line.
Yeah.
And when you're not putting heat on the rim, the odds are you're getting bumped, you're not getting to the foul line. So there is a correlation there.
And the other side of the coin to that is that the Kings were, over the course of the season, were second in the league behind Simon Mitchell's team at getting free throw attempts. And the Breakers were second, or equal first in the league, really, at sending their opponents to the free throw line. It's what happens.
There you go.
It did flip in Game 4, and part of it was the mentality, because Modi Mayor was like, hey, attack. Isaiah,
mode.
attack. Barry Brown Jr., don't just live on the arc. Attack. Get Jarrell Brantley. So do they come in Game 5 with that same kind of mentality? They're going to need to.
Hashtag NBL Overtime to get involved. We've got a Game 5, and you know what? We can't wait. NBL Overtime on the eve of Game 5. The Kings or the Breakers. Who you got? Hashtag NBL Overtime right there. But yeah, that's right, you can see it. Hey, you know what the good news is? We're coming back. This ain't the end of NBL Overtime, so don't panic. I know that a lot of you get worried and miss us, so I just got you for that. Hey, yes or no? You ready?
Yes.
Yes, that's the answer. That's a good. Hey, should the coach of the year be determined after the grand final
No.
series? Okay. Is Tom Abercrombie the greatest breaker ever?
Yes.
Big shout out to Kirk Penny, who listens to the show. Hey, will we see 2 players foul out in Game 5?
Yes.
Is free agency dictated by Keanu Pinder's decision?
No.
Will Derek Walton Jr. be back at the Kings?
Yes.
Are you surprised Cairns didn't pick up the team option on Benny Air?
Yes.
Team option. Interesting.
You?
I'm very, very surprised. I've no doubt there's
Somebody's
other
picking
teams.
him up.
Someone's
You
picking
better
him up.
believe it.
So this is, you know, they've got a team option. They had a chance to put their foot down and say, Benny's staying with us. But you know what? Adam Ford and the crew, a lot nicer people than what I
He
am.
deserves
So
to go get his money.
There we go. Absolutely he does. Hey, hashtag NBL Overtime. Who wins? Let us know. Enjoy it.